We live in a big data world now, right? Everything is quantified and measured, right? And if you don't understand the language of data, then you're going to be left behind. For example, if you're in France and don't speak French, you're lost. You can't read signs. You don't know where to go. Like in a big data world, if you can't read reports or know how to interpret that, you're lost.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Engati Engage. This is Rahul from Engati team, and we have somebody really, really special with us. But before we begin with this interview, there's something for all our viewers at the end of this video. So stay tuned for the entire video. There's something really special out there for you. All right. So we have the pleasure of welcoming Bob Hayes to our interview series. I'm Rahul from the Engati team, like I mentioned before. And let's begin with just a quick introduction of what Engati is. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform, available across 14 channels with 25,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. We run the Engati blog and the video channel, which receives upwards of 300,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Bob is the president of Business Over Broadway. He conducts research in the area of customer experience, data science, customer feedback, and provides consultation to help clients improve the way they use their customer data. He has over 25 years of consulting and research experience in enterprise, mid-sized companies, including Microsoft, Oracle, Agilent Technologies, and more. Bob has published numerous articles in both scientific and trade journals and presented at national and international conferences as a keynote speaker on various topics. Bob, it's such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, that's great. So let's just shoot on with the first question we have over here. So, Bob, data and analytics for decision making. How does the world of algorithms help, and how prevalent do you see AI becoming in decision support?
Oh my goodness. I think the power of algorithms as a result of machine learning, it's everywhere. And if you're not doing it right now, you're going to fall way behind. You're already behind. And I look at data kind of helping businesses in two ways. First, it helps them, build better systems, automated systems like chatbots and so forth. But analytics also helps decision makers make better decisions. So as an analyst myself, you can think about, either you want to build a platform of sorts to automate stuff, or you want to help decision makers make better decisions. So it kind of helps in those two ways.
All right. So I would just like to understand a little bit about how does it help decision making as such? Just a little gist of that.
Oh, well, it tells you how the world really works. If, for example, if you have a company that says, you have product versus support, they're competing for resources. Say, I think product's a bigger driver of loyalty, and this support gal says, I think support's a better driver of loyalty. Well, that's an empirical question. And you can collect data and find out, which of those two factors is the better predictor of the outcome you're looking for. And that outcome, in our case, is customer loyalty. So it can help in a variety, which is basically the bottom line. It tells you how the world works or how your business runs and what factors are important and what levers you have to pull to make those changes happen.
Right. Amazing. All right. Moving on to the next question. How would you go about designing a superlative customer experience, like using a data-oriented approach?
Right. Well, I'm a big fan of data, as you probably know from reading my blog. So I take a data-driven approach. So, for example, I do a lot of customer surveys, right? So you collect feedback from your customers, asking them about your products, your marketing, your support systems, and so forth. And you have other questions about, their likelihood to recommend, buy again, and so forth. Or you can even link up your survey data with more objective loyalty measures like actual number of products purchased. What you want to do is quantify that and understand which of those touch points, customer touch points and wants and needs, is the best predictor of loyalty, right? And of those that are the best predictor of loyalty, which ones of those touch points are you kind of failing on? Basically, right? So you want to make sure you focus on those touch points and wants and needs that have a big effect on your customer loyalty and where you're not doing so well, because that you have the biggest opportunity for improvement, right? So if you understand what drives loyalty, you can build the experience around that data model you just created from the feedback from your customers.
Right. So what you're trying to say is that data will actually help you with a more customized, experience you can provide to your customers.
Exactly. I look at models as a representation of the real world. Like no model is perfect, but it'll give you a sense of what really is important to your customers. And once you know that, you can build that experience around those key areas that you know will have a big impact on your customer loyalty.
That's correct. That's correct. I think a lot of business people what they need to understand, in today's day is that, it's success comes from like a more humanized, more customized way. You cannot have like a universal approach to every single customer out there. It's a wonderful point out there. All right. So
Right.
moving on, what is your perspective on the use of automation technologies for customer service and support? And where do you believe the future of customer service and support is headed?
Well, I look at artificial intelligence more as augmented intelligence. So I don't think we want to replace employees with automated systems, but what we want for is to help current employees, with those artificial intelligence like chatbots and so forth. They kind of, the chatbots and AI can solve those really easy problems for your customers. And then when the chatbot can't handle those, then it can hand it off to a representative, customer service, HR, what have you, and they can dive deeper into more complex problems. So again, I don't think of AI as just replacing people, but it helps them. It makes them a better employee.
Right. So what you're trying to say, it's like a supplement we can use.
Exactly. It's augmented intelligence. So it just makes it better. For example, like in customer success programs, what you want to do is you want to have a customer success manager reach out to your clients who are having trouble. And how you can do that is you can look at how your customers are using your platform and using AI and machine learning. You can see at what point in the process there might be a roadblock. There might be an opportunity to reach out to them and maybe perhaps upsell them or prevent them from churning. And that's where augmented intelligence comes in. The AI won't stop them from leaving, but it'll give you an early warning sign like, hey, this person is acting in ways where they might leave. So your customer success manager may want to reach out at a particular time and resolve those issues before it gets out of hand.
Right, right. Beautifully put there, Bob. All right, moving on to the next one. So, Bob, the sheer amount of data available, though valuable, could be overwhelming to some businesses, right? So the cost of hiring high-end data analytics and scientists can be maybe out of reach for most medium-sized businesses. So, what would your recommendation be for such businesses?
Well, this is the kind of recommendation for everybody I talk to is that first you have to define what your problem you're trying to solve, right? Instead of just throwing money at a data science team, say, do something, you have to have some goals. Like we have for example, a customer churn problem. Okay, now based on that, what can we do? And if it's just one particular problem, start out small and maybe hire maybe a company like yourself or maybe a software as a service that addresses that particular problem, right? And solve that problem. And so then you see the value of analytics and artificial intelligence. And maybe that could be used as a way to kind of infuse the use of analytics and AI throughout the rest of your company. So don't just hire a team because you think, oh, my competitor is hired a data science team, therefore I need to. That's not a way to do it. You need to solve problems as they arise and as you come up with them, and focus on those problems and solve them and get some wins under your belt. That'll kind of spread the word throughout the company. Like, oh, this is how it works. This is how we could do it. Maybe over time you may want to hire your own data science team. But if you're strapped for money, if you're a small company, consider hiring out like a software as a service vendor to solve a particular problem that you're having.
Right. So what do you mean to say is like data scientists are not some magical people who's trying to like boost your business as such. And there are grassroots level, work on yourself that has to be done before you shoot for the bigger things.
Exactly. And I did a study a few years ago. What we found is that data science requires three kinds of skill sets. Okay, you need a domain expert If you want to study business, you need a business expert. If you're studying cancer, you need an oncologist on your team.
Right.
So you need a domain expert. The second one is you need the programmer or technologist who can kind of bring the data together, knows how to get data from systems. And the third skill you need is the math and stats guru who can actually analyze that data and find those insights. So again, if your earlier question about just hiring a bunch of data scientists, yeah, they may have good quant skills, but they may lack the knowledge that you need to focus on a particular problem. So make sure you bring those three skill sets together: domain expertise, stats expertise, and programming expertise.
Right. Wonderfully put, Bob. All right, moving on. So, what do you believe is the future of something like conversational intelligence technologies or chatbots as such?
Oh, I think they're useful. I'm not quite sure we're there yet, where you can just rely on them for everything. But I think it's a good way to triage incoming calls. Like I said before, like if you got some simple problems you can address with a chatbot, by all means do that. It's a point where the chatbot can't handle some complex problems. That's when it's triaged to a real life person who can kind of dive deep and maybe show some empathy to the customer and kind of bring them in closer to the company.
Right. But with the emerging technologies like natural language programming and all of that processes, it's chatbots have become more complex and more humanized, wherein they can technologies like sentiment analysis is like helping them connect more personally. So, what do you think can we expect in the future?
I think more of the same, and as algorithms become more complex and we get more data to feed those machine learning models, there's no end in sight. I think the only limit you have is your imagination. I think if the application of data analytics to any problem can help solve that problem to a certain degree. So I think just keep doing what we're doing as a profession, as a science, and see where it can take us, and just follow where the data leads us. If we come to a roadblock, we can't do certain things, like for example, artificial general intelligence. I mean, we're way off from that, right? But that doesn't mean we should stop trying. We keep doing that. But in the meantime, we got some good narrow AI solutions that can solve really complex problems, and that's useful for businesses and for society in general.
I agree. Innovation should not stop at the end. We got to push our boundaries every single day. Yep. All right. So moving on, and this is a very important question as per the scenario that is there worldwide with the pandemic. So, what would we need to change for businesses to operate in a post-pandemic era? Right. So specifically as it relates to technology, AI, data science, and automation.
Well, I think if we've learned anything from this pandemic, we need to all be digitized as companies. The digital transformation era is just being accelerated due to the pandemic. We all have to work from home remotely, and that necessarily requires us to be a digital company. So if this doesn't convince executives that we need to be digital, then I don't think anything will. I work for a company called Indigo Slate, and our parent company is Zensar. We recently had a all-company meeting, which is 10,000 employees virtually. 100% of us attended via Microsoft Teams.
Wow.
It was incredible. So our company, the company I work for, is fantastic. Right. And we were able to get, I think, 95% of our employees working digitally within the first week.
Wow.
So again, if this doesn't convince executives that we need to have a digital transformation, I think you're out of luck, because nothing's going to convince them if this doesn't.
That's right. And they say necessity is the mother of invention, right? So I think a lot of these businesses who are a little skeptical of adopting something like AI technology, remote working, I think they have they're convinced now, right? Now that it's working, they have no other choice.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen after we all kind of get back to work in some form or another. I'm thinking there'll still be a lot of remote workers who just say, you know what, I can do this from home now. I don't need to go to work. And that's fine. Maybe we're more productive this way. it's going to change how we work as a civilization for sure.
That's correct. All right, this has been a great talk. I have one question, Bob. Do you have any other thoughts or any other insights that you would leave our audience with?
Yeah, I sound like a broken record, but I always leave my audience whenever I give a talk with this one idea: is learn about statistics and data literacy. I make this example. We live in a big data world now, right? Everything is quantified and measured, right? And if you don't understand the language of data, then you're going to be left behind. For example, if you're in France and don't speak French, you're lost. You can't read signs. You don't know where to go. Like in a big data world, if you can't read reports or know how to interpret that, you're lost. So I encourage everybody to take, and you don't have to get a PhD in statistics, just take some introductory stats courses to give you a sense of what data can and cannot tell you. Oh, and there's a great course that's online at the University of Washington in Seattle. It's conducted by two professors there, and the class is called Calling Bullshit. And it's all online. You go to YouTube and do a search for that, and all the online, and the class basically helps you identify, bad information. It helps you be more critical in how you approach information. And if people are trying to convince you of something, what are the kinds of things you can ask them or think about to make sure that they're legitimate and that what they're telling you is factual and true. So I highly recommend that course.
Right. Thank you so much, Bob. I think that was a wise piece of advice that you gave. Data is the new, gold, maybe, because you've got to know how to handle that, got to know how to know. And I think that's what will actually eventually help you grow your business also. And with the advantages of data analytics that you mentioned earlier in our talk, I think, yeah, that's what we young entrepreneurs, a lot of these people have to grab, I think. Yep, the conversation was great, Bob. Thank you so much for doing this, and we really appreciate your insights. And to everybody, Engati Engage will be back with another episode with another expert. And to all those who are waiting till the end of the video, this is what we have special for you. We have a very special ebook on customer service for you all on the description. The link is there, right there. Check it out. It's completely, totally free. Leverage this time that you're sitting home to kind of to gain more knowledge and better yourselves at whatever you do. Really appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much, Bob. Can't thank you enough for this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.